So I'm a process-based artist. I'm a trained sculptor. I do work a lot with like different kinds of material with my practice. One of the things that I'm quite interested in is, I guess, material that comes from natural and also mixing it with the unnatural. In recent times, I've been going back on my journey of traditional sculpting and using traditional materials. Hence, I've ended up creating this work. With these components, I've explored different types of processes with different materials. It's a mixture of cement, wood, and then like polyurethane, plasters, natural materials like corals, driftwoods. So interestingly enough, like I've been collecting a lot of the objects that's on my sculpture for the last maybe like 12 to 15 years throughout my travels. Some of this wood, like some of these driftwoods are from, I guess, from different parts of the world. Some of them are from California, Singapore, China, Indonesia, Australia. I think it's my affinity for this kind of natural objects is something that I grew up with. I grew up in an environment where it was it's a rainforest. I'm always surrounded by nature. I grew up in the mountain of Mount Makiling, and I guess I always somehow like resonate with this kind of objects through my upbringing. So with my process, I put all these elements in my sculpture as, I guess, like a form of like a memento mori and a remembrance for those, I guess, like the beauty before and after. Hence, I ended up like using this kind of objects, I guess, in my work. In recent times, I've been re-exploring figurism. I've been playing a lot with with human forms, heads and busts, and I guess it's sort of like a form of like a self-reflection, I guess, which makes the work, I guess, relatable, but unrelatable at the same time because I create them in a sense where they're obscured and weird and something alien-like or abstract. Yeah. It's also like, I guess, like the way I see how we are as human beings and our existence in this environment that we live in, and how we are, the way I see it, we're not really part of any ecosystem or cycle. Yeah, that's why I guess like I obscure the human form or figure into what this series, I guess, like came about. So I basically play a lot of different materials, as I said before. Process is one of the main interests that I do with my practice, and I always like try to learn different skill sets with working with this material and finding ways to make them into a different form or push them in a different sense. Like the wood element in my work is they are all like reclaimed or found, and I use various types of like techniques to create all the shapes and forms of it. The cement portion is actually a process that it's called terrazzo, like the terrazzo product, as they use it in households and architecture where they use it for floors and all that. So it's a mix of cement and various types of material in terms of like stone, marble, pebbles. With this kind of work though, like what I did was I used a plastic bag to form them and to create this kind of abstract basis for it. And I intentionally kept some of the fragments of the plastic with it just to show a bit of like that it is part of that process, and I guess it leads the viewer to see like it's not just a natural stone. With the head busts, the process is basically a mix of multiple materials with this one. It's layers and layers of, I guess, like polyurethane, cement, plaster. I also used silicone for the finish, and 7 layers of automotive paint, which is quite interesting. They started off being colorful, but I ended up like subconsciously just turned into black, something more darker and black, and unintentionally it wasn't supposed to be, I guess, like gothic in a sense, but it just, I guess like it just ended up that way just because I felt like it was suited for the whole aesthetic of the work. And then one of my other main interests in my practice is also like the ritualistic side of producing it, and this is when it comes to more of like that spiritual sense that I always see when I create work. There is something about the whole idea of working with material and composing the material to create this narrative. It itself, it becomes some sort of ritualistic process that I always like find reoccurring in when I make the work. And overall, I think, yeah, like this is the monster that comes out. Really interesting. Even I don't know like what's the outcome usually with the works I make, because I'm very intuitive as an artist, and I always just try to follow the form and the flow of the work, and what fits in and what doesn't fit in. And the work that I create dictates itself to me and how it wants to be formed. And everything is, for me, like I am just the person that I guess like assists for them to be formed this way. And I always believe in that process in my practice, that the intuitiveness of it and how that work starts having its own life. It's when you look at the work, then you know like like when you look at an artwork, does it have soul? Does it have integrity? And I believe like this process that I do, it helps me achieve those, I guess, that feeling or moment.